Welcome to another episode of the When to Pick series, the series that educates you of the appropriate times to pick a certain jungler. This episode brings you the Jelly Jiggler, Zac. Zac is one of the more powerful jungler tanks in the game, with even better gold efficiency than your average jungler. He also has incredibly strong initiation and really good self-sustain while clearing and in fights. He focuses in games mostly around ganking, disruption, and initiation later into the game, with shortcomings in dueling and positive matchups. He really doesn't trump anybody, but he doesn't exactly lose to many other junglers either. It's kind of neutral. In a rough sense, he actually feels like the combination of a lot of other jungle tanks, like the type of damage Amumu would deal, the initiation levels of Malphite, disruption levels of Cho'Gath. He's sort of a jack of all trades of tanks, with some weaknesses scattered about. He has two unique traits that other tank junglers do not have. He is a resourceless jungler, which gives him the obvious sustain advantage, and he has a revive passive. This passive allows him to turret dive easier and with less risk, and also to initiate riskier plays, as he may still attract aggro after he's killed, or else he will just come back and start disrupting again. Zac is in a slightly odd position during champion select. He's a strong first pick jungler, but he does have some strong counters. Champions with knockbacks like Janna, Lee Sin, Gragas are strong counters to him in teamfights, while he tends to have fewer in the jungle outside of junglers who would naturally beat jungle tanks anyways. However, to his positivity as a first pick, he is less susceptible to early aggro in comparison to other jungler tanks. In fact, he's pretty safe all around and can be seen as an insurance pick. Zac does have a major problem with carrying, as he's more of an enabler than anything else. He does not have the killing potential of many champions, so he relies on others to carry him, though he does set up plays and situations for his team. This adds risk to the first pick status and encourages you to pick him later in the selection screen. You would not want to pick him into a team with already poor carrying potential. To add to this, his jack of all trades jungle persona makes him a better last pick, as you may need to cover a lot of jungle tank aspects in the game but cannot find a jungler that can cover them all well enough. He can take care of things such as disruption, initiation, peeling, magic damage, while still being relatively safe at farming and really fast at it too. Even if other tanks could do certain things better, such as initiation like Malphite or disruption like Cho'Gath, and at least picking Zac will allow you to cover both needs instead of having to choose one and allowing the other aspect to suffer. As far as which champions work well with Zac, there are champions with strong follow-up to his initiation, such as Annie, Yasuo, or Orianna. He goes in with his E and his ultimate and they follow up and completely massacre the enemy team. Or high mobility champions, such as Riven or Jax, since Zac is very good at cleaning up and catching people and making sure they stay in a fight, and these champions will probably follow up and, kill the person with them. He doesn't outright counter a lot of champions as much as annoy everyone to death. He is more picked for when your team needs something. He fits very well into AoE team compositions and hard engage comps thanks to his strong initiation, strong initial damage burst, and massive disruption potential. He also fits roam compositions easily, and he is well sustained to the point where he rarely has to go home or take a breather. With that in mind, he is heavy on the disruption, and while he not be considered a complete counter to combo teams like Cho'Gath, he can be annoying for combo casters to deal with, especially considering how difficult it may be to control him in a fight, thanks to his ultimate I mean. Zac also tends to do well versus team compositions that are low in damage, as he just shrugs off most attacks and heals up over time through the course of the fight, not to mention the fact that his automation basically makes him into a massive health sponge. His builds mostly consist of health stacking in one way or another. Obviously, items that give him resistances along with health are preferred, with the prime item purchases being Spirit Visage and Randuin's Omen. Cooldown reduction is another one of his prime stats, and fortunately enough, it is easy to itemize as it comes jammed into two of his core items. Zac is also a jungle tank blessed with the ability to take a more damage-oriented build, a magic penetration build that takes items such as Haunting Guise, Abyssal Scepter, and Sorcerer's Shoes, can make his initiation burst deadly enough to take out a carry, while his passive can make sure he stays alive after he's taken down, or at least that he somewhat fulfills his tanking purposes by attracting aggro. Now let's go over some of the information that was learned today. Zac is the jungle tank that is least vulnerable to early aggro, and he tends to actually suck at dueling too, so you really can't fight the mob. They just can't really kill him either. He also tends to be more gold efficient than other jungle tanks, which is surprising given that jungler tanks are, universally known for being very gold efficient. He simply just kinda has to health stack. Zac is a sort of jack-of-all-trades jungle tank that covers a lot of aspects of tanking, though he is outmatched in some areas by other junglers. Zac is a good first pick, though he does get countered by knockbacks such as from John Gragas and the like. But he's a generally safe pick regardless. He's better used as a last pick though, because he does lack carrying potential and you don't want to pick him into a team composition that doesn't have any carries. He is a strong last pick if your team needs a lot of jungle aspects covered, such as initiation, disruption, and the whatnot, because not all jungle tanks cover as many aspects as Zac, and even if he's not the strongest in all of them, it is better to have them all covered than just one. He's strong in full engage compositions obviously, since he's a very strong initiator and a disruptor. And he's also capable of just chasing down any of the survivors who live past the initial burst. Zac is a great champion for anyone wanting to learn how to judge advantageous teamfight situations and how to properly initiate them. His price tag is intimidating, but I wholly recommend him.